now, right now, CBS 13, Jake Gadon, sports director, by the way. Gadon joins us. Jake, thank you so much for. Oh no, the hat just right there in front of me. The Yankee. Is this Carticelli's cousin? What's up, Jake? How you doing?
We're rocking, buddy. We're getting ready for next week. You know, it's a big series here at Sutter Health Park. Aaron Judge, the Linden native, going to come back and hit, a couple home runs. Maybe one of them actually hits the Tower Bridge.
So it's that quick, huh? Man, time is flying. So Yankees, A's next week already?
Yep, Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. Get ready for it, baby. I'm excited. I think it's going to be I think Sutter Health Park, everyone keeps on talking about how that place is not going to be sold out. I think it'll be sold out for that weekend, guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, they were about maybe between 3 and 5 true money weekends. And it was the Yankees. I think the Red Sox come out here too. And obviously the Giants got 4th of July. That's going to be insane. And I'm looking at it now, Jake. That's Mother's Day weekend as well. So anybody out there looking to do something fun with your mom, if your mom's into sports, whatever the case may be, go on out to the park and say what's up to Jake Gadon and say Allen Stiles sent you. Jake,
Don't say hi to me. I'm going to be inebriated. Okay, don't say hi to me. Okay?
And I also saw. I've seen you during Yankees games. Maybe don't say hi to Jake Gadon and just give him a wave and keep pushing. Jake, I wanted to get you on the show, obviously to talk Kings, but you've been doing great work with everything that's happening with Sac State, and obviously Sac State. They have really just jumped on the scene here. There was a whole Sac-12 situation. Now they might be independent. They're definitely making moves. And in the football world and basketball world, Jaden Rashada for football, the top recruit, he's going to be with Sac State, at least for now. We never know with the transfers. He's going to be with Sac State. Mikey Williams and Shaquille O'Neal in basketball. What's going on with Sac State right now?
I think it really starts with Luke Wood, the president of the university, really pushing to make this an actual Division I destination for athletes in Northern California. Of course, we have Cal, we have Stanford, but those are really hard institutions to get into, specifically academically. I think with Luke Wood, you look at it and say, hey, this is another great market to tap into. It's the number 20 TV market in the country, a lot of untapped potential in terms of not only high school recruits, but also, the money out here is just as green as it is in San Francisco, just as green as it is in LA. I think right now it starts with Luke Wood wanting to put athletics front and center for the university. His saying is, the athletics is the doorstep or the carpet to the university, and then once you get in, you find out all the great things about the university. And I agree with them. At the end of the day, your brand is only as big as your athletic department sometime and how well they do. And they have been in the news nationally, locally for the past 6 months, specifically though this past 2 weeks. Man, the football team, like you said, getting a 4-star guy coming from Georgia, played a little bit at Arizona State, went to high school at Pittsburgh right up the road, and Jaden Rashada, this guy is going to be a bona fide star here at Sac State. And then, of course, Mikey Williams, like you mentioned, man, Mike Bibby, what a hire to put that guy out there and be able to bring in big-time players like Mikey Williams. Of course, he has a past. I believe he had nine felony charges for a gun-related charge where something to do with something at his hometown, San Diego. I didn't get the full details of it, but I know that he was able to come to a plea deal and able to return to basketball-related activities because of that. So there is a past that comes with Mikey Williams. There's a caveat with it. But I think both these guys are big-time athletes and brings big-time exposure to Sac State, specifically Mikey Williams because of the Instagram following and the YouTube following that he has. He's going to be able to put a spotlight on the Hornets.
Talking to Jake Gadon, CBS 13, sports all around. Jake, so Shaq, that was the other big story. Shaq becoming – these GMs are just popping up out of everywhere. Some GMs actually have, Wes Wilcox go to Utah. I don't think Wes Wilcox and Shaq are going to be, and Steph Curry for Davidson. I don't think that they're all going to be doing the same thing. I think that they're different levels. Obviously, Steph is still playing. Shaq isn't. And then you have Wes Wilcox, who is actually going to be in the weeds doing stuff from that position. How involved? We had some fun with Shaq and kind of comparing it to the parent and AAU stuff, just having some fun because we'd love to have Shaq on the show. But realistically, how involved do you think Shaq will be, or is this just a name to be connected? Obviously, he went to LSU, so I don't know. Can you be a GM in two places? LSU clearly has a crazy alumni as far as the athletics are concerned, but how involved do you think Shaq is actually going to be with Sac State basketball?
Okay, so I've been telling people this. Like, I'd be shocked if he showed up to three games this year. I think he'll probably come to the home opener. I think he'll probably be an entertainment at a halftime show middle of the year, and then he'll come to senior night for his son.
He's gonna be DJing out there. He's gonna be DJing.
Who knows? You never know. He could bring the whole TNT crew down there, and they could do a whole show from out there. Who knows? I think with Shaq, I think it's the name branding, but I also think it's the connections that he's able to have. I think he's a face to a name that brings exposure to a program that really hasn't had much exposure over the past 3 to 5 years. And that's nothing against the previous coaching staffs over at Sac State, but man, if you ever see where those Hornets play men's basketball and women's basketball games in the Nest, like that was just almost an equivalent of a high school gym. So now that they have this new gymnasium that they're going to play in next year, they're bringing in a new head coach. They have a great women's head basketball coach as well, and then adding Shaq to the fold. I think, like I said, it's name exposure. He'll be able to get connections to athletes that maybe Mike might not have or previous coaching staffs may not have had. But for him, I think it's also, a money grab a little bit. I think he's going to be able to bring some money into the program through sponsorships, through NIL. So it's not a bad thing to have Shaq on your side, but I also don't think he's going to be at every other game or every game for the Hornets this next year. I'd be surprised if he was, and maybe he is. Who knows? But he's a busy guy. I think this is going to be kind of a hire that is a flashy hire where he does a lot of things behind the scenes. And then you have guys like a Sac State alum, Zach Chappelle, who's the assistant general manager, who is working more day-to-day activities for the team and putting things together. But hey, they now have money though, like Allen. Like it looks like they have NIL money from football and basketball, something that they were struggling with before. And I keep on telling people, like, if they continue to add all these athletes, like winning the Big Sky, specifically in basketball, isn't as hard as you think. Like the depth of the league is not that great. And if they're able to bring in guys like they have with Mikey Williams, and then of course there's another former top 100 recruit that was a 3-star guy out of Georgia, if they bring in some serious talent and length and size, I really think not only would they compete in the Big Sky, but I think they could win it. It's just not that hard or competitive of a league to be able to win it. Every year, it's usually the Montanas of the world that will win it. So getting back to Shaq, though, I think it's a great hire for Mike. Brand, name exposure for him. I just don't know how involved he is, and I would doubt that he would really be that involved with how busy of a person he is.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. It's better than not having him, right? So, even somebody as cynical as I can be, it's better than not having Shaq, right? We're not going to hold him to the same regard as others, but it's better to have the name than to not have the name. So shout out to Shaq being a part of the Stingers Up movement. Let's switch over to the other Sacramento team, and that might be the term, Jake. If they don't find a way to get out of this play in purgatory, the Scott Perry presser happened last week, and a couple days later, about a week later, Doug Christie gets named. Obviously, you're well connected and well versed in all things Sacramento Kings. We all knew that this is where this thing was headed. How are you feeling about the process or lack thereof when it comes to Doug Christie? I'm kind of the mindset, look, we kind of knew what it was. Let's just see what happens. I understand why people are upset that there wasn't a full-on search, but I do think that Scott Perry knew that there wasn't going to be a full-on search.
I think let's start here. One, how crazy is it if you're a 2000s baby that you see Mike Bibby as a head coach of Sac State, and now you see Doug Christie, full-time head coach of the Sacramento Kings? Like, right? I'll be sitting here like, are we back in 2001? What's going on here? Like,
I need my tall tee on and my big jeans, Jake, and my Air Force Ones. That's all I need for what's going on right now.
I'm waiting for both of them to wear the really long, bulky suits that they used to wear in the early 2000s, where it's like way too much cloth and like the jacket is down to the knees. We digress, though. I think when you look at the hire, I think this was a hire that when you hired Scott Perry, Perry was told, hey, it's kind of a package deal of you hiring Doug Christie, just with how much he means to the organization. And to be honest, how great of a job he kind of did with the circumstances they had last year. Like, hey, you got rid of your best player. You had some turmoil within the roster. Like, it wasn't the easiest thing to navigate last year, and he navigated with grace and was able to have a winning record. Now, that winning record was mainly in the first 30 games, then in the last 20, and we can delve into that. I just think this was the safe pick. They could have gone through this whole entire process of trying to find a new head coach, but you don't know where you're gonna end. Like, could you go Mark Jackson? Like, is that something that piques your interest, or would you rather have Doug Christie, who knows the team very well and has a connection with Domantas Sabonis? Which I want to also hammer home that point. I think hiring Doug also puts at ease to Sabonis's possibility of wanting to get out of the organization. I know a lot of people have projected that Domas may be on the chopping block this offseason about possibly being traded because of his contract and possibly not wanting to deal with the volatility that's here in Sacramento. I think by bringing in Doug, you secure the fact that Sabonis will probably want to be here for a long-term deal or still stick out his deal and see where this goes, just purely off of their connection. And then also, I believe on your network, that you guys reported that Zach LaVine asked for Doug to be back as well. So when you have your two-star players saying, "Hey, I want this guy to be our head coach," I think he has a great rapport with all the players, from Sabonis to LaVine to DeMar to even down all the way to Malik Monk. Like, I think he has a great feel for the game. My intriguing part for me with the hire of Doug is who he surrounds himself with. And for what I'm being told, it could be a brand new coaching staff this next year. I know Jay Triano is definitely in the fold of trying to stay with this team, with the offense that they roll. But he's going to have to hire a new quote-unquote defensive coordinator and numbers guy, like the role that Jordi Fernandez had and Luke Laux had last year. Associate head coaches are, of course, it's a very volatile position. I've been told that right now that it doesn't look like majority of those guys are coming back. So I could see Doug having a brand new roster or coaching staff this next year. And what that means for the Kings, well, I think he's going to surround himself with guys that are probably more coaches, like, if that makes any sense, in terms of X's and O's and analytical type of stuff, where Doug is more of a field type of coach and more of a player's coach. I think he's got to surround himself with a little bit more experience on that bench, and I'll be intrigued to see who he brings in. But from right now, I don't know. There's no names that have been popped up because this just got announced a couple of days ago. But I wouldn't be surprised by early next week if we start hearing rumblings of what assistant coaches are joining the team. And I would start with Jay Triano, the quote-unquote offensive coordinator, to see if he ends up sticking around. But from my understanding that, all these options are open.
Wow, well, there you have it. From Jake, been hearing that it could be a whole new staff. We were just talking about the coaching staff and who could stay. I know Leandro Barbosa, a lot of people like him as well. So we're going to find out this stuff.
Put him in there. Put him in there. I think Barbosa is a guy that you can really safely say stays, unless he has a better opportunity to comes his way. He has a great connection with the organization, and him and Doug have a great relationship as well.
Jake Gayen, sports director for CBS 13. Jake, by the way, I did want to say congrats. Obviously, I did on social media, but you worked your tail off, man, and you enjoy it. Somewhat newly named sports director of CBS 13. Appreciate you coming on the show. I will be seeing you at that Yankee game, and you better hope they win, Jake, because I'm going to let you have it if they don't. Thanks for joining us as always, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate you. Go Yankees.
Cut the end of that, Kyle. Great stuff, Jake, from Jake, as always. And, that aligns perfectly with what we've already been talking about as far as the coach.